Jose Young's here with MMAfighting.com, sitting here at the Pearl at the Palms next to PT Carroll, who just got in from Dublin, Ireland. There's a lot to unpack. Of course, the UFC 246 press conference just wrapped up with Donald Cerrone and Conor McGregor. We're going to start with Conor McGregor, obviously. Uncharacteristically friendly with Donald Cerrone. In the past, what's made him popular is, of course, the trash talk, the brash Irishman that's really shown with the Jose Aldo fight, the Mendez, especially Khabib. We saw none of that today. So as a man who's covered Conor for pretty much the better part of a decade, what did you make of what we saw at this press conference?
I mean, Jose, when you look back at the 229, I think a lot of people had issues with the kind of back and forth they were having. So I think this is the perfect tonic for that. We're seeing him, he's being himself. It feels like nearly vintage McGregor there, talking about the jacket there and Cerrone and stuff like this. But, you know, it's nice for a change, you know, because I feel like at home, the mainstream media, they're just waiting for these big moments, these inflammatory moments in the press conference, and that's all they're going to talk about, whereas this was good fun. It was a good back and forth. I feel like I had a lot of questions about how Conor was appearing, you know, earlier in the fight week, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, but I feel like he's absolutely nailed it. As soon as this fight week has kicked off, he's done great. I feel like he did the interview with Ariel with ESPN, and he kind of gave the public the pound of flesh they've been waiting for. You know, he addressed the allegations, and I feel like ever since then it's freed him up to be able to go about his business a bit more, and you can see there's a new level of comfort there. I thought he looked as comfortable as any other press conference we've ever seen him at.
But there is another man in this fight, in Donald Cerrone. You and I were talking about this when the press conference was going on. It seems like Donald Cerrone is like the third or fourth biggest storyline of this fight. It's Conor's return, his need to rebuild his image. All of a sudden, he's referencing God in it when he's speaking, saying he prayed on this, he prayed on that. He sends God's well wishes to Australia. But Donald Cerrone is there. So what did you make? Is Donald Cerrone being overlooked in this? I know we have a preview show coming up, but in this press conference, Donald Cerrone was pretty much like, I just can't wait for the fight. This is vintage Donald Cerrone, right?
Yeah, I feel like Cerrone, like, it was interesting. Did you notice that Cerrone was actually, when the media were asking a question to Conor that might have been a bit uncomfortable, he was answering it for them. He was going, hang on a second, don't speak to it. This is a great man. Never usually see that two opponents, right? And then the part where Conor just out of nowhere starts selling him his jacket's lovely. Now that was hilarious. Like, that was very good crack. But it's a very interesting dynamic they have there. But I feel like it's all about Conor and his redemption. I feel like that's what everybody's thinking about here. So I do feel like maybe Cowboys forgotten about a little bit when it comes to the main headlines coming out of this. But I think that probably works in his favour. Like, as he said, the thing that everyone says about Cerrone is, can he do the big one? Can he get the win in the big fights? And I feel as though if he's not kind of under the same spotlight as Conor is, that kind of plays into his hands, right? Because he doesn't feel as big as it does for maybe Conor.
And one final question before we wrap this up, we want to keep it short, is there was one media member tried to ask Conor about the allegations in Dublin with what's going on over there. I don't know how much you can speak on this, but the crowd wasn't happy. Dana White wasn't happy. As you referenced, Donald Cerrone was like, why are you asking this? Dana White immediately was like, he already answered those questions. The media member tried to ask more and was completely drowned out by the fans. So what did you make of what we heard and saw there?
It was strange, you know. I don't think I've ever seen a scene like that before. And the media member stood his ground, got his question out. It wasn't answered, but I think it's to be expected. I think when he did the interview with Ariel at ESPN, I feel like that was what he was going to say about it, and I don't think we're going to be hearing him kind of say the same things over and over again each time. I mean, Dana said there, you know, they're trying to sell a fight here, so he seemed very angry that it was brought up. So I doubt we're going to hear much of that throughout this fight week.
So we'll keep our previews and picks for the preview show, but this has been Jose Young's That's from PT Carroll. We're here live at the Pearl. We're not live. We're here. We're recording this at the Pearl at the Palms. Stick around on the MMAfighting.com's YouTube channel. We're going to have the media days tomorrow. We're going to have tons of interviews. Donald Cerrone and Conor McGregor are going to speak with the media again. We're going to have the preview show. We're going to have the post show later on in the week. So until then, see you then.